Hi, so I decided to talk about death row sentencing for my topic for this presentation. So, death row is a special section of a prison that houses inmates that has committed and been convicted of a capital crime. In the United States, if a person is found guilty of a capital crime, for example, first-degree murder with special circumstances, military sabotage, death in the course of a train wrecking, treason, perjury resulting in execution of an innocent person, and fatal assault by a prisoner serving a life sentence are capital punishment crimes in California. Um, Death row sentencing is a legal penalty in the United States of California. There has been a total of 709 executions from 1778 to 1972. Now, after 1972, death row sentencing was stopped for a while due to it being labeled as cruel and um, unusual here in California. Um, and then um, in 1978, it was reinstated again. And since then, only 13 men have been put through the death row sentence penalty. Currently, there is 725 men and only 22 women currently on death row sentencing. Okay, so in California, San Quentin State Prison is usually where the men are located when sentenced to death row. And the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla for the women is where women are housed when they're given sentenced with death row. Usually, from the time they are sentenced, their conviction doesn't take place until about 15 years later. And that's just to make sure that that is the conviction that will stick and no appeal or new evidence comes in and changes the outcome of the sentencing. Lethal injection is the method here in California, but there is other ways that other states practice also. Now, with um, many inmates that are in prison waiting for their sentencing to happen, it's very common for inmates to kind of get like frustrated and of just waiting of when will this occur. So many have committed suicide before their sentencing has happened, just because um, they don't want to wait. Um, like I said, it can take up to 15 years from the day that they are sentenced to death row um, for it to actually happen. So just imagine an inmate knowing that sometime from that day to sometime in the future this will happen, and they just end up taking their own life away before it occurs. The case that had kind of put death row on hold for a while was People versus Anderson, where they had found that it was unconstitutional to give someone the death penalty. Uh, but that was overturned, like I said, and then reinstated uh, back in 1978. So, also another fact that I didn't know was that, of course, all death row, the death penalty, all death penalties are executed in San Quentin. And females are, of course, housed in a different facility, but when it's time for them to be executed, they are transported by bus to San Quentin and then executed there. Um, with it being, there's always going to be controversy against people feeling if that is a proper punishment. Um, I know for myself, I kind of feel that whatever crime you did, you should definitely kind of have the same outcome. So if you killed someone, then obviously you're sentenced to death. It's equal life for another life. Um, but some the way it's done is sometimes thought that it's not um, normal or okay. Um, I know a lot of people have been questioning um, how the person is in state during execution. Is it, um, normal? And a lot of people have said, well, why should we care if they didn't care for what pain they have caused to the victim's family? So there's a lot of ups and downs, but um, I think it's fair. They're sentenced to death row. They're not immediately put through execution. Time does pass by in case something comes up and they were, um, convicted wrongfully. There is that time to prove. So I think that the process that California sets and some other states also, I think it's fair uh, when it comes to the death row sentencing. Um, and again, like it states, it's death row is only given for capital punishments, big crimes. Someone that has committed a small crime is not obviously going to be given that outcome. Um, so I definitely would say that it is managed correctly on when someone should be given death row as their um, sentencing.